on Liberia. Yeah. From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to FOL Justice Forum on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of FOL Justice Forum, we're going to be looking at President Weah's nominee to the Supreme Court. There have been some issues surrounding that nominee. We're going to look into that. Also, there are some challenges onto the citizenship of some legislators. Others are contemplating taking this to the Supreme Court to even either put an injunction on the speaker elections slated to take place tomorrow. Maybe that is not possible now. Or go to the Supreme Court to make sure that certain people who they believe hold foreign passports are disqualified from becoming lawmakers. We're going to look through that. With me, since we're talking about people with dual citizenship, who else can speak to that but the boss of ACO? I call in our dual citizenships are eminent Emmanuel Sonnybo Wetty, the chairman of the All Liberian Conference on Dual Citizenship. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. I have our lawyers here, Attorney Jensen, that's James N. Jensen. He is the CEO and host of 2A Radio and TV. He's always here anytime we have some legal questions to talk to us. Attorney Jensen, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be with all of the sound-minded individuals who are forming the basis of having a community to discuss issues pertaining to Liberia, particularly on this one, the constitutional issues that is being discussed relating to retirement of a justice or people who sit on the bench, and looking at the issue of immigration, where Liberians who have denied citizenship, whether or not they are competent to serve in the government of Liberia. So it's a pleasure, and I feel good to be here. And it's always a pleasure to be with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anytime legal issues come up, somebody will call me and say, "You talk to your counselors? What they say?" And so let me welcome also Councillor Frederick J. Weah. He's always here to provide us with a breakdown of all these constitutional and legal matters. Councillor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis, and Happy New Year to all Liberians. It appears a lot of hot issues coming out of Liberia. We are here to see how we break them down and create some clarity legally for our people. Thank you.
That legal clarity is very, very important. Let me welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If it is every other Sunday right here, we discuss legal issues on FOL Justice Forum. So far as I know, there are only two places where legal issues are discussed on this online platform. One is 2A Radio, represented here, the CEO and the host. Anthony Jensen is here. Anthony, before we even start, tell us a little bit about what you do on 2A Radio, especially when it comes to discussing these legal matters.
Well, indeed, as you said, there's something that I learned in law. The Constitution, there's no law in Liberia that says the Supreme Court is the only institution that should say what the law is. So there must be a community of lawyers that will be discussing the issue. Like in America, the American Bar Association discusses issues day to day, right? Whether it is from the Honorable Supreme Court of the United States or whether it involves action of a state actor. There are people who have been trained. The reason why you went to law school is to know how to explain what a law is. So at 2A Radio, particularly where I say it, it is incumbent upon all of us to help that society in whatever we wish to do in saying what the law is, right? So at 2A Radio is a pleasure, and we always want people to come around. But there's something I must say here. I'd appreciate Weah, who is always on the show trying to explain what the law is. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have a schedule. In Liberia, there is an addict that most lawyers, even you call them on shoulder days, some of them think that to discuss legal issue is a violation, or they will be denied, or they will be punished, or something will not be right when they go before court. For some of us here, we think Liberia can be better if the issues are discussed. So at 2A Radio is a global thing, and we even right now I can tell you we have something is coming up on 2A Radio. We have a chat box that you will soon be using. That you just go in there and ask a legal question and get an ultimate answer. You don't need a civil procedural law with you. You don't need a criminal procedural law with you. You don't need a constitution with you. You just need to go on the chat box and just ask the question and get instant answer. So why are we doing these things? It's because society is moving forward. AI is here. Artificial intelligence is one of those tools that the world is using. So I wouldn't want to be someone if I know the little thing. I just want to share with people. We just want people to get along. You can't say because you feel that, oh, that country is this way, so everybody should keep being the same way. So at 2A Radio, we want to do all that we can. And we appreciate you people too, right? Focus on Liberia. The law is there. How do the people understand the law? And let me tell you something. When I heard that the United Party has taken an action, what came to my mind was our last discussion on the show. Because I remember Weah was talking, say, if I was one of those, I will move to the Supreme Court. So those who are listening, I'm very sure they are taking note. And when they find that the law is plain and is being explained, they take challenge, they take opportunity of it. And that's the essence of us being on these shows. So that the Supreme Court herself will be challenged. I do not think that being on the Supreme Court, now I don't want to go into the issue, Chief Justice her action on the letter that was sent by Justice Nangwe unilaterally. The court's supposed to speak, not a justice, not a chief justice, not unilaterally.
And we'll get to that issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Very
So
much.
I mean, that's the business of us. I mean, because you know why? Something fundamental is happening in the world. There are some people who think to get on social media is for a bluff. We don't come on these shows for bluff. We come here because there's something little we have learned. It's better to share it so that when I'm dead and gone, I will have nowhere to speak anymore. That somebody can say, I think Jensen said something that makes a lot of sense. That we're discussing constitutional issues and immigration law and all of this stuff. The little we know, we're going to throw it out. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here once again.
Thank you so much. And when does this come on 2A Radio and TV, the legal show?
We don't have it specifically to say legal show. We had a program. It was a Constitution and You, and we had Councilor Arthur Johnson was always there. We tried to explain the Constitution from the preamble all the way going down, but we are not too constant on that show right now.
Thank you. Again, let me welcome our viewers from across the globe. Emena Weti, if you can switch a little bit. That's perfect.
That's right. Okay.
All right. Thank you. So let's. I want us to begin the discussion this way on this citizenship question. Uh, we've seen now that there have been legal challenges. We see passport flying all over the place because there was a dual citizenship law passed, and this citizenship law passed, signed into law in July last, 2022. Say there are certain jobs if you hold foreign passport, if you hold passport of United States and you still Liberian. The only thing is we recognize this, but certain jobs you can do, like to be a senator, a representative, president, vice president, defense minister, finance minister, so on and so forth. So now they're saying there are certain people who already took office, but these people have foreign passport. And some of the passports, and we at Focus on Labrador cannot authenticate them, but they are on the internet. They send the passport of certain lawmakers, like Councillor Funati Kofa, Rachel Kuhn, and some say even Amara Connor. They're saying, hey, you have two passports, and so you cannot be. Our dual citizenship, ZA is here. So tell us, Honorable Weah, this is, this is the thing. Now we are back to where we were before, that people can hold two passports and be in the Senate or be in the representative.
Well, Dennis, thank you very much for this opportunity. Dennis, it's very sad that we in the diaspora, or we that once lived in the diaspora, we are a victim every time there is some job in Liberia. Then people begin to say, oh, dual citizenship. This person is not a Liberian, this person is an American, this person from Canada, this person from Australia. We should stop that. In the interest of national unity, national development, we should stop that. We are all Liberians. We are all Liberians. You be in the country, you work in the country, nobody's going to ask you questions. But the very moment there's a job opportunity, the issue of citizenship is being used as a political weapon to eliminate people. It is not the purpose. It is not the purpose. We should stop misusing the law. We should stop that.
And we got the lawyers here, Mr. Weah. Even before this thing came up, you wrote in the New Dawn newspaper, say, hey, Liberians are coming, and people are going to say, oh, you are not from here. But when they get in remittances, they don't say that, only when it comes to job. But Mr. Weah, you fought for this dual citizenship law, and that's what it says. So why are you saying we should put it one side because we are all Liberians?
No, we don't want anybody to break the law. It's not what we're saying. Okay. We support the law. We agree with the law because the law advocates. We believe that this law is in the right direction. It's a beginning of a longer journey. We believe that strongly. But what we are seeing is that the political manipulation of the law for political gain. That's what we're talking about. I'm not going to come there and say that this law signed by President George Manuel Weah on July 22nd, 2022 should be disregarded. No, I'm not going to do that. It's painful that the people just sit down and take it as a career to eliminate others because of a job. That's what we're saying. They're trying to politicize the whole thing. Now, I want to say one thing here. Look, confirmation process is near the corner. If you think that you're going to use a citizenship weapon to eliminate one person, you can guarantee that you are opening a can of citizenship passport. People will come after each candidate that live in the diaspora, once live in the diaspora, and people are going to use the issue of citizenship as a weapon. That's my concern.
Right.
I support the law, and I stand by it.
Before
I go ahead.
Before I go to Anthony Jensen, this is what they were telling you, that the restrictions in the dual citizenship law were bad. Now the restriction, and the people who signed these laws and put the restriction there, for example, Mr. Funati Kofa, as I learned, was part of them. Now it's trying the chicken coming home to roost.
Then just for the record, the House on the leadership of Representative Funati Kofa, Karas Gray, and the Kenny Warsaw, there was no restriction.
Okay.
There was no restriction from the House. the bill that was signed by the House of Representatives had no restriction. When it crossed over to the Senate, it was the Senate that introduced the restriction. And since the Senate had a different version, that's how they met in caucus. And there was some restriction left in the final bill.
So you now see how bad the restrictions are, right? You agree with them. People were telling you, let us not accept this because we can be halfway citizens. And
no,
you say
Dennis,
it was fine.
it's not look, there's nothing like there's nothing that is so perfect from the beginning. Only the creation of gods were perfect at the very beginning. Things come up, there's evolution, there's revolution. So we believe that we needed a starting point. And as we go along, we can develop that. At least we have something. Let's give it, we have something that we can work with and work for and try to improve. Our argument that let's get something and we improve on it. Let be frank. Then we come here and argue on the legality of these things. But we should also look at the other end. They're using it as a political weapon to target diaspora librarians. It's not good for the country.
Thank you.
It's not good. So everybody right now on the internet, they got the passport of Amara Kone, they got the passport of Yobi Kanga, they got the passport of X, Y, and Z. So long you live in the diaspora, they got a passport for you. If that's the country we're waiting for, if that's the country that we want, it is a crime living in the diaspora. It is a crime working here. It is a crime. It's not a crime. I'm not going to go against the law. I think the law is perfect and it's good. But I'm just saying that the wrongness, using the law as a political tool against people is not right.
Thank
That's
you.
my point.
Anthony Jensen, before we get to the legal side of the law, but this is how it is, right? You have a law that have restrictions. And so we come into the restriction now and they are applying the restriction. I hear the eminence saying, oh, no, feel sorry for us.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying using the law as a political weapon to eliminate people.
But our politics, so that's the politics they're using now. Anthony Jensen,
Jad, there is Liberians are not serious. I mean, sorry to say this. We all like to pretend about a situation. I remember Justice Janet was on Twitter with him, was discussing the very issue, citizenship, when that law was being introduced. The people introduced that law because of George Weah. I did a research. I could not see George Weah's name anywhere on the internet regarding his citizenship to France. But by the time George Weah loses the election, go to Wikipedia, type in George Weah and citizenship. It is well stated that along over 500 persons, 500 people who naturalized to become French citizens. George Weah is well printed there. Now, the immigration law of Liberia does not allow dual citizenship. The immigration law of Liberia does not allow dual citizenship. It talks about naturalization. The fairness to this thing is to have passed a law or amend a law. It could have been more appropriate. Take the immigration law, look at it in totality and find those clauses that deal with immigration so that you cannot sit and do things that you will regret about. This argument is not going to go away. Now, some people think the United States government is going to come and become a witness to a case to say, well, this person is a citizen of the United States. The United States doesn't have time for that.
That's correct.
The United States is not going to come there to say, well, this is what we do. But this is the issue. The immigration law of the United States does not also allow dual citizenship. Do we accept that? No, Liberia want to argue about it because everybody wants to benefit when it comes to benefit. Gratification is what people love. But when you go if you go anywhere to take an oath in the United States, you deny your citizenship to take the citizenship of the United States. That's a hard fight. And as a lawyer, I'm not going to stand and pretend. When you are a citizen of the United States, you have said to the United States government that you are denying your citizenship. Now, does the law passed in Liberia affect the laws of the United States? No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter whether you pass statute, whatever you do in Liberia. The laws of Liberia govern the jurisdiction of Liberia, not the United States. So if you come to America, you say, well, I came for greener pasture. I need every opportunity to do other things. I must become a U.S. citizen. You told yourself that, and you took on the citizenship of the. Even if our agency is taking citizenship, there's a way out. How do we get it around? It's first and foremost, you go back to go back to Liberia, and go to the civil law court, make your application. So although I denied my citizenship the last time, but I've come back to renew my citizenship. There are procedural steps. But where the problem coming from? Ellen Johnson studied herself. She's an American citizen. We don't have to fight, but Ellen will get challenged to do that. She became president. George Weah is a citizen of France, but he became president of Liberia. So by president, those things are happening. Are we serious people to look at what is right to say this is what we're going to be doing? No, we don't. We're happy in our situation, we clap our hands because it's in our favor. And if it's not in our favor, then we frown on the law. That's not the essence for which the law is made. The law is made if you say no one should cross the river. No one should cross the river. It means whether you are a king, you are a president, you should not cross the river. You want the king to cross the river, then you go there and say no one should cross the river, but the king should cross the river. The textual meaning of the law should not be disrespected. I wanted to read something, but we don't have time. I can't read all the constitutional law for you here. Let's say if you go to the immigration law, I think it's 21.2 for the alien and nationality law. Any alien eligible for naturalization who desire to become a citizen of Liberia shall, as a prerequisite, appear in person before the clerk of the circuit court, that is a civil law court, in the county in which such alien resides. Now the question would be, am I an alien? Or when you took an oath to say you are not a citizen of Liberia, or you are denied citizen because you want to glorious the land. You know why? Any Liberian who commits a crime, when you come, it takes U.S. citizenship. When you commit a crime, you are punishable under the American law, not the Liberian law. If you go to Liberia, you commit a crime there with your U.S. passport, all the people running around, trust me, if they commit any serious crime, the American people go for them. But guess what? It is possible American will be a citizen of the United States because he knows that he can play on the laws of the people. He goes to Liberia, he contests, and the Liberian people don't care to ask questions. Why didn't they ask this question during election? What is wrong for the election commission to have said you must submit or take an oath so that by this time they will use that oath and go to court and remove those people from office? Did they do that? I'm not sure. So should we sit down here and say, well, we enjoy dual citizenship? I told you there's a pathway. If our congressional people are real, the Comoro Island within the United States, they are the one who enjoy dual citizenship of America. So what is wrong with the kind of historical connection we have with America? For serious congressional people in representative or senator in Liberia to file a petition or say to the United States government, we have had, in fact, we are pioneers of slaves that were suffered in the United States. There are other people fighting for benefit of slavery now. Are we prepared to do those things? No. We're sitting in Liberia playing fun. But there's piece of legislation who gave Liberians an opportunity to enjoy dual citizenship. But when you don't move the United States government and you think you're going to pass a piece of law that will affect people in America, no, it's not that. That's not how it works. That is not true. So we all can just sit down and discuss the issue. The law of the United States does not allow dual citizenship. The dual citizenship that is allowed, that other people want to claim for, is the Comoro Island. There are a few island countries around America. Those people enjoy dual citizenship. You know why? If you go in the immigration law of the United States, it is clearly written there that those people enjoy the right of their citizenship and the right of America. As for the U.S. immigration law, sometimes you talk to these people think that they just out of bluff. It's not bluff. These are seriously, it's written. We cannot sit down and enjoy dual citizenship. But those people running around, you think America going to sit down and say, oh, fanatic co-founder, American citizen, so when I allow him to become deputy speaker, America will watch your show. That's what they're going to do. Watch your show. Those people who are there, they're not paying attention. There's something I must say here before I give a floor. Fanatic co-founder, the fact that he has taken duty in Liberia, in essence of the action that he has taken, deny him his right here as an American citizen. Let us assume he has a passport, he have all the documents. You know, people play double role, right? You think Funati is traveling to America, you know how he comes here? Find a passport, look into it. He will not give you a passport, he travel home. Maybe people travel to go to Ghana. When they go to Ghana, they stop there. They take Liberian passport to fly to Liberia. When they come in from Liberia, they take passport to go to Ghana. From Ghana, they fly here on American passport. These are the deception, and you can say these things. Those who listen to me, they know the thing I'm telling you here. This kind of a deception, Liberian, that's the kind of people they like. Let me move from here and say, well, I'm going to be somebody else. People don't care who I am. People want, unless things satisfy them. This is my cousin. This is my connection. They go, oh, I think that's how the law should be. The law is intended to be the law. The text of the law, when it's written for everybody. If it's written with exception, the exceptions are there. So the issue of immigration law, Liberia playing game with herself. You want to amend the immigration, the alien and nationality law of Liberia, take this thing, give it to a committee. Let them look into it. We don't have the time, but I would have read several sections that would contradict this quote-unquote law that was recently passed, giving dual citizenship to Liberians, where the statute is lying there and no one touched it. But a provision of the statute that different grounds of what.
Anthony Jensen, I still don't. So in essence, you're saying, the citizenship law, the dual citizenship law that was passed is in error?
Well, I wouldn't say in error, but it does not, or no Liberian who are taking U.S. citizenship should rely on that to claim that they have dual citizenship. That's what I'm saying here.
Yeah, Dennis, can I come in? Yeah, Councillor,
go ahead, Eminem.
Yeah, Councillor, I respectfully disagree with you.
Okay.
The United States does recognize our dual citizenship law on the 25th of March, 2023. The Assistant Secretary General of the U.S. State Department came to our honoring program and made mention of that they recognize our dual citizenship law, and I can send a video to you guys before the end of the show. But let's say one thing that
before you go, let me correct you there. The Assistant Secretary General and the law of the United States are two different things.
You did mention at our program that the United States government recognized our dual citizenship. Now, let me say something. The United States of America recognizes dual citizenship. Just the other time in Gaza, those American Palestinians were all redeemed by the American government. In Liberia, during the war, United States went there and took the Liberian citizens out. In China, when I was a student in China during the Tiananmen Square incident, those African students that have American passport, they took them out.
Because they are American citizens.
The American citizens. Yeah, so even irrespective of your other citizenship, United States just want to prove that you are the citizen, and they'll come and get you. I've seen it. I witnessed it when I was a student.
You're a people citizen. You got a passport. You're considered as a citizen.
Yeah, but that they don't care. So what we're seeing here is that our law, the dual citizenship law, it only touches the section of the alien and nationality law with respect to citizenship of natural born Liberian. It got nothing to do with naturalization. So this law that was passed, it only touches on the sections of citizenship of natural born Liberian and not naturalization. So our law is genuine. It has been accepted. We do travel. We leave from here. We use our Liberian passport, go to Liberia, and come back with our American passport, and we have no issue. So our law is genuine. It has been accepted.
Have you traveled on Liberian passport from here to Liberia?
Yes. I traveled. Yes.
All right.
So I just want you to be aware that this law that has been passed, it only covers the part of citizenship, not the issue of naturalization. So we all need to be clear, because if you look at it, it tells you the sections.
Thank you.
It tells you the section.
Thank you. Councillor Joe, I want to hear your comments first before I even ask my question, because you've been smiling.
You know, I'm smiling because the eminent is catching all the hard time in the world to explain what they did wrong. And
we can never go wrong.
He tries to say, citing like, oh, when the U.S. government, when people in Gaza, the U.S. government brought them back. The U.S. government did not go bring people from Gaza. It went to bring its citizens.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that's what we're saying.
No,
because they are dual.
Hold on, Eminem.
Okay, sorry, thank you, sir. Because they are dual, and the thing can be applied to Liberia.
No,
not because of dual, because they're citizens.
But in the news.
During the war in Liberia, the people who the American Marine took and brought back here are U.S. citizens.
Who are Liberians? Say that in
You-
the statement.
The thing about the dual citizenship, which
No,
is
no, Councillor, say it. Don't say they are American citizens who are born Liberian. In the statement.
No, I
To be
think my
honest.
brother, you're making an error. You're making an error.
Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys.
Hold on,
Let Councillor Jewett learn
Yes,
this part.
but Councillor, in your statement,
when,
Hold on, Eminem.
when
Okay,
the U.S. go to take a citizen from any country, it goes to go and collect or bring or rescue U.S. citizen. Whether you're
Correct.
from Egypt, whether you're from Liberia, whether you're from Guinea, that we don't want to acquire ourselves Liberian American. The U.S.
Right.
government, the record it has when you naturalize, you swear and say you will pledge allegiance to the United States of America against all other countries. So
Right.
you can call yourself Liberian, whatsoever thing you wish to call yourself. Something happened to you while you are in Liberia with your U.S. passport, the U.S. government
Right.
will take you out of there back to the United States. Unless
That's
you don't
correct. We know that.
The other thing that is interesting is that I will hope that this matter will travel to the Supreme Court. I will hope that Councillor Funanti Kofa, who may be contesting the speakership, will be sued, not because I think the lawsuit should be against him. I think because the statute that the eminent is the guru of is so bad that it restricts Liberian that committed no crime to not getting second class citizen. So it is now coming out that some senators, prominent senators, are U.S. citizens. It is now coming out that Representative Richard Nangbe-Kun, there's some piece of paper I saw, apparently it's from the Civil Law Code, that he said he swear his allegiance to defend Liberia and the law. Who tells you that your swearing in Liberia has any impact on the U.S. government? None. Zero impact. So people who playing the game and say they're going to court in Liberia and declaring that they have taken up their own Liberian citizenship that they laid down before, it had nothing to do with the U.S. government. Tomorrow, after doing that, they will pick up the U.S. passport and fly back to the U.S. when they wish to. Without any question. Now, this law, the only way Liberian will benefit is that it travels to the Supreme Court and let the Supreme Court interpret those restrictions that are placed in there. The restrictions are saying the restrictions are in violation to Chapter 4, Article 27 of the Liberian Constitution. And so the Supreme Court, if that matter gets to the Supreme Court will strike out that portion that restricts Liberian citizens to not taking certain position. And so you can I can call it people playing game. You can go to Liberia and renounce your U.S. citizenship at the Civil Law Code or Criminal Code B, and then come back to America the next day on your U.S. passport, because that has not impacted the jurisdiction of the U.S. government.
Thank you. Eminem.
Yes.
Eminem, so let me ask you this way, because there are two things here. First of all, there are restrictions. And you said, well, these restrictions, even though we don't like them, but we'll live with it. So now the restrictions are being enforced. And what I hear you say is, feel sorry for us on humanitarian grounds. Or if you do this, this is politics. But that's what the law says.
Look, Dennis, I'm not going against. I just sent you the video from the State Department. So if you see it, you can play it later on. Dennis, what we're seeing is that using the law as a political weapon to eliminate.
What do you mean that it's a political weapon? If you violate the law and somebody point it out, is that a weapon?
Dennis, you can't prove these things. You can't go. You can't use AI technology or IT technology and produce a passport or somebody and say, so how do you verify it?
Can I call it eminent to point? Can I call the eminent to point?
Go ahead, Councillor.
All Liberians that are holding onto U.S. passport can be proven very easily.
Councillor.
You travel from here to Liberia, you show your Liberian passport, the immigration people will have documentation on you that you have a blue book, a U.S. citizen passport.
Councillor,
you go
ahead, Councillor.
Why it is true the U.S. government will not go and say Weah is our citizen, or Eminent is our citizen, or Jason is our citizen, which they don't care for at all.
Right.
But there are records when you go from here to go to Liberia, you turn your. I never traveled to Liberia, turning that nonsense they're doing. One person got the Ecuador passport, the same person got the U.S. passport. That's pretty nonsense.
Right.
You either use your Ecuador passport and want to remain Liberia, that's what it is. But never come to Ghana, then you put that one in your left back pocket and say, now I will take my U.S. passport. Why are you doing that? Because you are saying that you are deceiving the Liberian people,
right?
In order to fool them and continue to use them and abuse them. Therefore, you have a Liberian passport representing that you are a Liberian one. In fact, you are a U.S. citizen when your law is not even binding on an inch of the U.S. territory.
Okay, Councillor, the very first thing is that I can speak the way you're talking about. As far as I know, as of July 22nd, 2022. Liberians that have a U.S. passport and have a Liberian passport can travel directly to Liberia with using their Liberian passport and coming back with the American passport. That much I know.
Sorry to say, I don't think that is a true statement. No American will leave.
I want to tell you something. Hold on. I want to tell you. No, I'm telling you right now on this time. On this day, that after July the 22nd, 2022, Liberians that have the Liberian passport, have their foreign passport, be it American passport or Canadian passport, can use their Liberian passport, get on the plane, go to Liberia, present their two passports, their foreign passport will be stamped, and you come back with it. I am telling you, and I live with it, and I stand by it. I'm telling you the truth.
Have you traveled? Let me ask you a question. Have you traveled from here to Liberia on a Liberian passport?
Yes.
As an American citizen?
I said I've traveled with my Liberian passport. Yes. Okay. Let me come now. Let me address your concern. Our councillor, we're not going to go that route because I know it's happening right now as I'm speaking to you. But let me address the concern. Dennis, I'm not on record denying what we advocated for years. We do respect the law and we think it is correct. What we're seeing is that, look, people misusing the law to target diaspora Liberia or someone that once lived in the diaspora. That's our concern, because sooner or later, confirmation hearing will come. So everybody that lives in the diaspora will be attacked. That's our concern.
Right.
Our concern. The other thing is this. I come in, Councillor. Only the United States government. Only the United States government can verify that this person is a citizen. But you go on Facebook and using Photoshop to produce passport of John the plumber, it be the person is an American citizen.
I think
this
question here. Let me ask you the legal question.
Eminent is not too straightforward with what you're saying here.
Go ahead.
I have to say that.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
No, there's a last question. Let him go ahead and ask.
No, Councillor, I want to hear your voice. If you say,
Anthony Jensen, he has the experience. He said this is what he has done. I'm taking you at his word, and I've seen other people who have done.
Yeah, right. You know why? I say that, Danny? We all have traveled from here to Liberia, right? The immigration process
after July 22nd of last year. I'm not
we got that already, right? You're on the record.
Okay, thank you, sir.
But I know for certain the immigration law of America, even to travel from here, for example, you leave from Atlanta, you want to go to Minnesota, you are recorded. People want to know where you live. Who are you? I'm not sure any Liberian, you have the U.S. citizenship, you will take Liberian passport to travel from Atlanta to Minnesota. I'm not very sure that any immigration law, any immigration officer will allow you to pass. If the date, because listen to my brother.
Well, how would they know that you are a U.S. citizen if you present your Liberian passport?
Oh, obviously, there's no way that you go, my brother. If you travel from here there, the people know who you are, where you live. If you are a U.S. citizen, they know that. You find as soon as you recently you show certain document, they put exactly who you are. Your name will pop up in the people's system. So how will you? I mean, maybe he said he did it. The obligation is on him to prove it. That he traveled or he can travel.
I want to get to the legal side of it.
You can do citizenship.
Dennis, hold on. Dennis, before we move on, let's clear this thing. I just want to let you know, Counselor, and I want to be on record that as of July 22nd, 2022, Liberians that have the Liberian passport, the ECOWAS passport, can use their passport and go to Liberia and come back with an American passport. I want to be on record.
Because Liberia, you don't know those Liberian traveling.
I'm just saying, I'm saying that it's happening now.
He said he knows them. So that let's take it as that. All right. So, Councillor Weah, so this whole idea of dual citizenship, remember the T. Jallo case, right? Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court is saying you can't tell anybody they are not Liberian until you give them due process.
Correct.
How would they approach anyone, like in the case of Funati Kofa, to say he is not citizen or not? How is that going to work?
So those who want to complain, and I hope there will be a complaint before the Supreme Court. Those who want to complain at the Supreme Court will bear the burden to prove that Funati Kofa is a U.S. citizen. That can be done. So it can be done not just by oath from the U.S. government. It can be done with places that Funati Kofa has worked, voting record that Funati Kofa has engaged in. I got that for when I wanted to establish that Jerome Kokoya, Councillor Jerome Kokoya, was a U.S. citizen at the National Election Commission. I put in a petition to the Election Commission in Election Division in New Jersey where he lived, and I gave him all of the voting record. So when he filed that lawsuit, the question of whether Funati Kofa is a U.S. citizen or whosoever is a U.S. citizen, the Supreme Court will take up the challenge to review it. But what I believe is that such an effort will fail because the law that restricts Liberian citizens living abroad, holding foreign passport, that law is so restrictive and so violative and repugnant to the Constitution of Liberia, so much so that the Supreme Court will weigh the due process clause, which says that a litigant must be heard before he is condemned. You cannot just file a lawsuit and say, oh, Funati Kofa is a U.S. citizen, and therefore anyone else is a U.S. citizen, and therefore the Supreme Court will prevent him from running to be speaker. The very first thing under the law the Supreme Court will do is that, why are you raising this issue now? When Funati Kofa submitted his documentation to the Election Commission to run as a representative in, I think, District Number 2 in Grand Crew County, nobody challenged that. So the Supreme Court looked at the doctrine of waiver and
process.
Waiver and latches against you. Beyond that, Funati Kofa has not been given. You cannot write a law. I thought Councillor Mani Sherman did not serve the committee very well. When he sat there, when the current amendment was made with all the restriction, that because that restriction goes to the issue of due process right. Liberians who are here, who naturalized knowingly as citizens of the United States, must be challenged. And they must be given a due process right to prove the case that they have given up their Liberian citizenship in order to remain, for you to even talk about that. Secondly, I heard I think it was yesterday.
Councillor, before you go there, because you raised a lot of issues, right? If you even get the voting record of Funati Kofa or you get a voting record of Eminent, Eminent being appointed as a foreign minister, would the Liberian court accept that record Because
So
it's not original record. It's going to be a photocopy.
no, it will not be photocopy. What I got from the New Jersey Election Commission was the chairman of the Election Commission. I think I paid $25, something like that, when I wanted to prove that what his name.
But it should come from that group directly to the court, not through a third party, right?
No. If you got it from like I got it from the New Jersey Election Commission division, all I had to do in Liberia was to carry it to a justice of the peace to notarize it, and I could use it as a law. But what I'm saying is that in spite of all of that, all of those will not be sufficient to erase the due process right of Councillor Fonante Kofa. All of that will not be sufficient to say, for the court to say that, hey, Unity Party, you are suffering here a waiver and latches because you all sat down knowing fully well. When did you know this? Knowing fully well that Councillor Fonante Kofa, Representative Kofa, ran in District Number 2 in Grand Crew County. He has sat there and being representative for this time. He functioned as a deputy speaker of the House. Now you're jumping up and saying he's a citizen. He's a U.S. citizen. Therefore, you cannot challenge him because you must first give him a due process right. Let me just go back to what Eminence said that.
Then, Councillor, I share. Then I come in, Councillor. I share your point, and before you go any further, let me say what the councillor is saying is absolutely correct. It was on December 23rd, 2019. The Supreme Court ruled that everybody is entitled to due process. And until it can happen, that person is a Liberian. You cannot jump up and say Fonante Kofa is not a Liberian. You need due process according to the decision of the Supreme Court. So people should just come here.
So that due process will happen where now? At the Supreme Court, where he is.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't just accuse somebody and this whole idea, even right now with confirmation coming up, you can just look and accuse someone, or this person is an American. Everybody is entitled to due process according to the decision of the Supreme Court.
So you must sue. This case is not just because of Fonante Kofa. I think people might drag it there. But this case, with the interpretation of this law, will impact all Liberians who have naturalized as a U.S. citizen.
Even not them in the diaspora.
All Liberians in the diaspora will be impacted by it because the issue of due process will attach. Because you can present every other thing that you wish to present, the due process right. First, you have to file a lawsuit. Due process means that you file a lawsuit against Councillor Fonante Kofa, anybody for that matter, that he intentionally, knowingly, and willingly laid down his Liberian citizenship, and they try and go through. Yeah. So maybe it starts with the civil law code. It travels to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court rule and say that because of what Councillor Fonante Kofa or anyone has done, that such a Liberian from the diaspora will not be qualified. The confirmation here we're talking about, that will become an issue because anybody who raises that against Liberian who leaves from here to go to take up job in Liberia will also be in error. The due process clause will become an issue. You cannot deny someone confirmation because
you can't do that. You can't do it. You cannot deny anybody until due process. So
right. So let me understand this.
People should sit down and they don't even understand the law. 2019, December 23rd, the Supreme Court came up. It said that Daniel is a Liberian until a court of competent jurisdiction.
Correct.
Can say you are not a Liberian.
Right. So let's say in the case of Richard Kun or Fonante Kofa or Amara Konen, so before you go to say get Fonante or get Richard Kun out, you must you must first go to court and let the court establish. So if the court finish establishing that Amara Konen is indeed an American, before you go to do another case for him to be taken out.
That's a due process.
Yeah, so due process required that before Amara Konen, even when he submitted his papers to, let's say, any Liberian, forget about Amara Konen, any Liberian.
I agree. That make any Liberian. Yeah, any Liberian, you are correct.
Who ran in the 2023 election, submitted their paper to the Election Commission. At that point of submission, you must file an injunction proceeding against him in the civil law court. and that injunction proceeding must be heard, which a due process, the starting of due process, must be heard. If he loses the complaint that he filed against him, then he appeals to the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court, after reviewing the injunctive proceeding and found out that all of what Weah has said is true, Counsel Weah has said is true, and the Supreme Court pronounces that you, Amakone, you, Fulani Kofa, you are not Liberian citizen, then at that point, Election Commission will drop their names from the roster. But once that did not happen, you cannot in midway, in midair, hijack them and say, oh, they are U.S. citizens. And therefore, Counsel Kofa cannot be Speaker of the House.
That's wrong.
I listened to why the law was passed from Representative Richard Kuhn, Nangbe Kuhn. He said they in the Senate, people in the Senate were thinking that, since not all Liberians travel to the United States to be learned like the Liberians that are now living there, to have the good life that the Liberians are living in the diaspora are having. Let's restrict them so that people who stay long on the ground can occupy the position. That is an elementary view,
Right.
badly stated for somebody who wants to be Speaker. Because the law, that's not due process. Why would you want to make second-class citizens? But even with that, it cannot lead to stopping anyone who wants to, who maybe is appointed Minister of Justice.
Can I say something?
And Anthony Jensen, I also speak to, we were first hearing that there was going to be an injunction on the Speaker elections and they were going to go to the Supreme Court. Is that even possible?
Can I say something? When you don't know something is bigger than you, Fulani Kofa, and this is a thought, right? No U.S. citizen should leave this country for more than, I think, 6 months. Stay out of the country for more than 6 months.
Citizen?
No.
The green card holder.
Green
card holder 6 months, right?
Yes,
Even with
6 months,
citizenship,
yes.
citizenship should be what? I've forgotten. There's a
no limitation.
No
There
time.
is.
No, Councillor, can you show it to us?
Yes.
Councillor,
Maybe,
I mean,
okay.
you can't keep talking, Councillor. We
Wait,
are
keep
there to the
talking.
law. I mean,
I will not
if
sit
you can show
on
it
this
to us,
platform
I
and
challenge you,
it's something that I know. Even I
American
can say
citizen can
right
travel
here
and
to
go
see the way
anywhere.
to
Hold
do
on,
it.
Eminent.
I'm an authority when it comes to U.S. immigration law, so take note of that.
Can you show it to us that
Hold
there is a
on,
limitation?
Eminent.
Brother, I
American
just raised
citizen
an issue,
travel.
right? Yeah, I just raised an issue, and you want me to prove it before the show, and I'm sure I can prove it to you. When you have U.S. citizenship,
that'd be fine. That'd
listen
be
to
fine,
me now.
Councillor.
You must take
Okay,
this
I do.
first. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, let me let my comment. I'm sure I can. I'm on the internet here. AI can give me
Thank you,
that
sir.
information quickly. So let me say something. What I wanted to say, Fulani Kofa knows what you're doing. All of those who get U.S. passport, they know what the law is. They know how to play in their games. I'm not sure Fulani Kofa, if Fulani Kofa has been out of the U.S., I'm going to find the time maybe before we leave. He's not supposed to be out of the country for more than, I've forgotten the time, but I'm going to do that. If he did, there's a way to avoid your citizenship. If you're not paying your taxes to the U.S. government here, if you're not doing those things that you're supposed to do as a U.S. citizen here, that's an impediment to your citizenship in America. Right? So to challenge Fulani Kofa, you will need to know all of these pieces of law so that you will have a better petition that will be filed to the Supreme Court than they hear certain people doing around here. Right? So I will agree with Jiwa when you talk about evidence gathering is important. You don't just get up and say somebody is this. All right? Like I said,
now that we're talking,
anybody
Councillor,
else-
now we're talking.
talking
Now
what?
we're talking.
No, but you want to hear what you want to hear. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to tell you what the law is.
Look, I like the when it comes to due process, I don't have the boundary. So
It's not just due process. It's not just due process, my brother. I've told you due process is a fundamental aspect of the Liberian Constitution that no one should ignore. That's a hard fight. I'm not going to argue on
Thank you.
that. That's nothing to argue about here, right? But all I'm telling you here, when you take a decision as an individual. That decision you live with it. If I just am a U.S. citizen, I know all of the loophole that I can say, well, when I leave and I go abroad and live there for beyond the time, even the U.S. people come and say, my people, this is your law. This is the law. It doesn't matter whether somebody spoke to the State Department and say, well, this is why you dual citizenship American people allow. Who told you that how American people allow dual citizenship? Congressional decisions are made before dual citizenship will be allowed. All right. So let me rest there. Let me see where I can get this issue quickly.
So let me come in. U.S. citizens are not restricted. You can live as long as you wish in any other country you wish to live, if that country allows you to live there. I agree with you that you can work and you should pay taxes if you're living in those foreign countries. It's only when you are a green card holder, your presence, continuum presence, that's what the immigration law says, is important. So you cannot stay outside the United States for more than 6 months or any one day after 6 months. Because what it does is that it takes away the calculation of the time that will lead to you to naturalize. That's what the restriction is. But U.S. citizen, you can live in China, you can live in Liberia, you can live in Guinea, if you wish to do so. But what is important is that those Liberians, and I may emphasize those Liberians who may think that Liberians that are appointed to foreign ministry, deputy, or whatsoever, those Liberians, if President-elect Joseph Weah, when he takes over, he appoints you, nobody can successfully challenge you. They cannot. Because the idea of due process of law is binding on them. I heard that.
Councilor, explain that. So right now, the way I want to be superintendent of Sino, let's say I'm U.S. citizen. If I'm appointed as superintendent of Sino, you say nobody can challenge that?
The person who challenges that will fail because it has a due process requirement. You must start when the nomination is made prior to you going to the Senate for confirmation. And that prior to you going to the Senate for confirmation, there must be an injunctive proceeding raised against you. It must travel through the court system. The Supreme Court must declare that you are not a Liberian citizen by virtue of you naturalizing in the United States. There must be evidence, because our law says he who raises a claim bears the responsibility to establish the claim. So it's not what we're talking in the attire shop. It's not what you and myself talking about driving together. No, you have to prove it. And so if that due process, if people sat there that you were named as a superintendent for Sino County, and you went through your confirmation or no challenge were made, you will be superintendent of Sino County in spite of you being a naturalized citizen.
So what's about this idea of standing? Who can stop me from becoming citizen or superintendent of Sino? Let's say anybody bring that law to the Supreme Court will say, what's your standing? How are you impacted, right?
No, the Supreme, once the issue, if there is a petition for declaratory judgment, like in the case of Jallo T. Jallo, the Supreme Court will, because what Jallo challenged was declaring the unconstitutionality of the law. So the Supreme Court will have to look at, so the issue of standing would not suffice because it has been raised. The Supreme Court knock it out.
Who can raise it, like in the case of Fonati Kofa?
So any Liberian, including the Unity Party.
What's their standing? How are they impacted?
So
because that's what the Supreme Court will say.
Right now, the any suit they file will fail because they did not do the initial thing by challenging it from the time he filed his papers before the National Election Commission.
So, and my question here is for the Buakai nominations. I use myself as an example. Who can raise that against me? Any Liberian? What would be their? How are they impacted?
So the Liberian.
Can I read this for the benefit of the argument that I raised?
No. After Joel answer that question, then we can come to the argument you raised.
All right.
So anyone who feels that you are a U.S. citizen, and so you cannot enjoy the benefit of being.
What would be their standing?
they will be filing a what you call it, a petition for declaration for a declaratory judgment, meaning they will go to the current law that eminent then assisted to pass, and will ask the Supreme Court to interpret it consistent with the facts they have about you, what documentation they have that you are a U.S. citizen, maybe your travel record, and your record to prove that you've been in and out, your immigration record, all of that. They might try to use it, and may try to get some of your voting records in the state that you live and file it. But it will start with an injunction before the civil law court. It will travel to the Supreme Court to be interpreted. If the Supreme Court, mind you, if you pay real attention to the Supreme Court decision in the Jallo T. Jallo case, the Supreme Court only treated the issue of due process.
That's correct.
That's what the Supreme Court did. It did not say you are a citizen or you are not a citizen. It didn't say that. It only treated the issue. You can't take away Jallo's Liberian citizenship unless you grant him due process.
That's correct.
So somebody who can establish that will go through an injunctive proceeding onto the Supreme Court. Now, let me tell you something. I think, and this is frustrating for me. Jallo, go back to T. Jallo. T. Jallo, I think for 2 times now, I don't know whether he's a Supreme Court counselor now.
Not yet.
Okay, then my facts could be correct. The Supreme Court honor His Honor Francis Kokbo review everybody and deny Jallo the right to be admitted as counselor at law, even though he practiced in the lower court, practiced before magistrate court, the circuit court, the specialized courts, and so forth. And I understand the second time when he applied, they also deny him. But in that same process, the very Supreme Court that I'm talking about admitted Funati Kofa as counselor at law, even though Funati Kofa is a U.S. citizen. That same court also admitted Charlene Bronskin as counselor at law. So what we do in Liberia is that the way what Eminent said, which is interesting, is that when you want to deny people certain things, there's a law. Let's go look for that law. Why did they admit Attorney Funati Kofa? They admitted him first as Attorney Funati Kofa, then admitted him as a Supreme Court counselor. Then they did the same thing for Councilor Charlene Bronskin, Attorney Charlene Bronskin, a counselor at law Charlene Bronskin. But Jallo, no, Jallo is a citizen of the U.S. You see how unfair we can be as Liberians? Our institutions can be. And then somebody running behind Funati Kofa now to say, Funati Kofa can't be speaker because he has U.S. passport.
It's a joke.
It's a joke.
Thank you. Let me go to Anthony Jensen to read that, then we move on to our next issue.
I don't want to rely on this too much because I wanted to find a law from immigration law, right? But it says something that I thought is important to read. And this is not, I got an immigration book with me. I have not, maybe before we leave the show, I will give you the provision. Yeah, but somebody wrote something here. It says, can a U.S. citizen be outside the U.S. for more than 6 months? And this is why it's written. If a U.S. citizen...
And I posted that link in our Facebooks so they can read that.
Say that again?
So I say I put the link on Facebook, so there's this one, right?
I don't get
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So if a U.S. citizen is out of the country for 6 months or longer, they may have issues certifying the continuous residency requirement. This requirement is important for citizenship naturalization purposes. If a U.S. citizen plans on leaving the country for more than a year, they can submit Form N470. Now I have to study. I have to look for that.
So let me stop.
Officially called.
No, hold on. There's one more. Go below. There's one more that you can read.
Go below.
Yeah, from that one, the next one I say, how long can a U.S. citizen stay outside the country?
We are speaking
How
about
long?
U.S. citizen, not green card holder. We're talking about U.S. citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
what
So
what
that's what.
that is a councillor. I'll let you come in. Yeah.
I
Let me just
wanted
say
to
one.
move to our next point.
Yeah. Before we go, first thing is this: if you have a green card, according to the law, you can only be in the country for 6 months. If you want to be there for more than 6 months, we have what we call a return. You can apply for 2 years return. So you can go for 2 years. But if you have a green card, it's either 6 months or 2 years. But to be in the country for 2 years, you must apply for return. But as a citizen, counselor, I can tell you the best of my knowledge, you can live in America for as long as you want to. Until you can show me something in the immigration law, I hold my peace.
All right.
Okay.
So that takes us to our next issue, and we can, Councillor, if you find that, Attorney Jensen, if you find that in the
Definitely.
immigration
Yeah.
law, yeah, just shoot it to us. We don't have to resolve that tonight. That takes us to our next issue, which is the nomination of Councillor Frank Musa Dean on the Supreme Court bench. The last time we're talking, because the vacancy on the Supreme Court, and there was some disagreement. So I want to begin the discussion on that like this. The two nominations, including that of Musa Dean, they were not confirmed. At this point, Councillor Jewe, will you say there is a vacancy on the Supreme Court? Or is Councillor Namwe still Associate Justice on the Supreme Court?
So there was no vacancy in the Supreme Court when Councillor Nangwe sought Justice Nangwe, not Councillor Nangwe. Councillor Justice Nangwe sought early retirement because he was in violation of the law. He remains on the Supreme Court bench. Even though the confirmation and Councillor Musa Dean was appointed in his place by President Weah, nominated in his place rather by President Weah. The confirmation prior to the confirmation hearing, the Unity Party sought refuge at the Supreme Court and filed a petition for a writ of prohibition. What the raid was pending or prior to the raid, Chief Justice Sienna Yo issued an advisory opinion to President Weah. So along with the prohibition petition, the Unity Party, I understand, filed a motion to have Chief Justice Yo to recuse herself because she has shown lack of neutrality and have written an opinion that violates, that intrudes upon the Minister of Justice authority to advise the President on legal matter. So to answer your question, up to today's date, if I'm representing Mr. Justice Nangwe, I will ask for his pay consistently until that matter is resolved.
Anthony Jensen, you disagree with this the last time. Do you believe there's a vacancy on the Supreme Court bench as of today?
Firstly, let me say there is an application from Justice Nangwe to be granted earlier retirement. He wrote the president to ask the president to grant him earlier retirement.
And the president did.
The president granted him early retirement and decided to fill the vacancy in the president's own mind. But the question we ask is the president right? Should the president act to replace Justice Nangwe on the basis of Justice Nangwe's illness? I said that the statute, meaning the judicial law of Liberia, contravene the Constitution of Liberia. Why? Because the textual meaning of retirement says at age 70, anyone on the Supreme Court bench must be retired. Shall be, not must, shall be retired, meaning it's mandatory. That's an authoritative statement. Shall any of the justices or judges of subordinate court shall retire at age 70. If that is the voice of the framers, and there is a statute, the law, the legislators, when they had and carved a legislative decision to say, no, we can have early retirement at age 60. Which one contravenes the other? As a lawyer, I know that the text of the Constitution explains that justices that sit on the Supreme Court bench at age 70, they must retire. Now, the number is plain at age 70. If the framers thought otherwise, that they would have had dispensation or had a means that someone will get sick. In fact, let me say this. Did the framers address the issue of sickness? Yes. The Constitution of Liberia speaks clearly on sickness. You want me to read that? I can do that for you. And
I want us to first establish if there's a vacancy on the Supreme Court or not.
There is no vacancy because Justice Nambe is still on the bench.
It's still on the bench. Okay.
What should happen to Justice Nambe is he should be forced to resign. If Justice Nambe cannot resign, he should be impeached. That's what the law says. When you are sick, you are incapacitated, there is provision in the Constitution of Liberia that says you must resign. If you can resign, then of course the two-third majority of both houses of the Senate can force your impeachment. So as we speak, Justice Nambe is still on the bench. Now let me say this. Do you think the justice is going to have this hearing? No, they're not going to. Why am I saying that? It is a plain knowledge that Chief Justice Weah has already broken the ice. Chief Justice Weah went ahead and issued a letter to Judge Weah and said, well, you have the authority. This is what the law says. Can a justice by herself or any of them stand as the voice of the court? No. We as students of law, when you're reading cases, you say the court says, not the Chief Justice says. This border's retirement, it requires constitutional interpretation as to whether or not the judicial law of Liberia contravenes the Constitution of Liberia, or whether or not there's early retirement for justices of the Supreme Court. But this is the issue. It has to do with benefit of those people. You. So can those justices sit and say, well, we would deny Justice Nambe the opportunity because they themselves are they're in the mirror. So for the purposes of fair doctrine, I wouldn't even think that the justices are supposed to hear it, and they themselves know that. They will not put the case out. They will not discuss it. That case will be on the docket until the new government will come. And Justice Nambe will have to do the right thing. Either he resigns or he will be impeached by the next legislative branch of government.
Thank you. Eminem, I don't know this, but what I want to ask you, not the legal side, is do you believe Justice Nambe is double dipping?
No, I'm not.
Okay, what you make of this? Because he's asking for early retirement. The president, and according to the judicial law, he's not qualified for that early retirement. Yes, he asked for it because he didn't want to resign and don't get his benefit. That's why I said, do you believe he's double dipping?
No, it's not double dipping. I think the similar thing happened with Johnny Lewis. Johnny Lewis have an early retirement because of a health condition. Why can't that be applied to?
And who granted that early retirement?
Oh, the president did.
Exactly. Does the president have the right? So all you were saying, since the president did wrong that time, the next president should do the same wrong?
No, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying that there's a precedent.
Can I come in?
Yeah, that's all. That's what I'm saying. I mean, but I don't know the legal aspect.
But presidential action is not a precedent in court.
My understanding is that Mr. Chief Justice Johnny N. Lewis did not early retire. There were negotiations reached by the executive branch with Chief Justice Lewis at the time to resign, but he gave him his package. He resigned and he left. My understanding also is that Her Honor Chief Justice Weah is wrong to reference that law apart from advising the president, because what happened between Mrs. Salif and Chief Justice Johnny N. Lewis was not early retirement. It was an understanding where Chief Justice Lewis resigned, got his package, and left. Now, the other thing is that for you to say the new judicial law does not apply or is in violation of the Constitution, there must be due process. Again, a petition for declaratory judgment must be filed and the issue of constitutionality must be raised before the lower court, and that matter be sent to the Supreme Court. Then the Supreme Court can declare and say, look, only the Constitution is controlling here that an associate justice who is sick must resign or retire at the age of 70. Again, I think they proceeded wrongly because Mr. Justice Nangbe said he spent almost 8 months, maybe 1 year now in Ghana, seeking medication, healthcare services, and yet was taking pay all throughout. He never said anything until when the Weah government lost the election, and Weah is pretty much close to getting out of the door. Then he decided that he would ask for early retirement. If I were him, I would have, followed the Johnny Lewis route to ensure that I get all of my benefit. But I will resign. My check Dennis, I resign.
Yeah, Dennis, let's say one thing. In this modern time and age, you don't have to be in the office to work. You can use virtual technology.
Let me stop you.
I come, Councilor. Firstly, I want to respect your understanding of the Lewis case and the Nangbe case. I'm not going to challenge your understanding, but what I do know, there's a precedent that happened with Johnny Lewis before. But also on the issue of Nangbe in Ghana, Nangbe can be in Ghana and be on a virtual conference.
No, but he didn't say that.
And make a decision.
No,
I'm just saying something. I'm just saying. I mean, these things are possible.
No, you can just say because Councillor Nangbe didn't say that. He said, I'm not being there.
But then he got an understanding of the studio. I have my understanding.
No. It's not about understanding. This is what Councillor Justin Nangbe said. He didn't say I'm working. I'm doing virtual conferences. I'm doing that. He said I'm sick. I can't continue. But I've not been working. So if you
no. That interpretation.
Yeah, but he didn't say that.
He did not say you were not working. He didn't say that too either. He didn't say that.
Mr. Nangbe said.
So it is possible that Councilor Nangbe was working virtually for Ghana.
No, he didn't say that.
He did not say he was not working too, Dennis.
First, the law does not. He's not associate justice of Ghana. He's an associate justice of the Republic of Liberia. So he could not be sitting down in Ghana and working by Zoom or any other social media or something. His decision has to impact the Republic of Liberia. In fact, what Justice Nangbe said is that because my job requires my physical presence, an association with my colleague in Liberia, and because I've been ill for the past 8 months and cannot perform my job as I wish to, therefore I'm asking for early retirement.
Yeah, he said it. He said continue. But what I'm saying to you, it is possible that the period of time that you're in the hospital in Ghana, you were doing virtual working. You're working from.
You didn't say that, Eminent.
But but I mean, that's our understanding because you can say he didn't say that, so it's not true.
If take out the legal side, this case is badly advised. The reason for that is that they thought that I'm more like Mr. Salif. They want to run a dual government. So put Musa Din on the bench, who've been doing all the dirty deal at the Minister of Justice. And then when something get up there, but the person, I say, wrongly advised because you can ask Musa Din to recuse himself in matters that he was involved when he was Minister of Justice. So the appointment thing should have been done. His Honor Justice Nangbe should have been respected that he's ill. His package should have been given to him. He should be allowed to resign. And President, we are right to appoint someone to replace Mr. Nangbe. We have been very fixed. But everything in Liberia, people don't really want to advise it legally. They think that, this is politics. Go ahead. Appoint the mayor, what happened?
So two things happen here. The Unity Party went and put an injunction. Mm-hmm. And when he got there, the Unity Party, they have their friend there on the bench. And quickly, she granted it. Mm-hmm. Right? That too had some legal issues, don't you think? Because I don't think they proceeded correctly. The Unity Party.
Let me tell you. What she did not do anything wrong. What she did was that because a constitutional issue is raised in matters of this nature, the proceeding will be immediately forwarded to the full bench. So what if you look at the proceeding that were filed by United Party, they addressed it to the full bench because of the constitutional issue that were raised in the prohibition. So Justice Wolokoli ordered a stay but forwarded the matter over to the Supreme Court. When the matter got to the Supreme Court, it was then that United Party also filed a motion to have Justice Yo to recuse herself. What the Supreme Court has done so far is, before the argument could come out, Councilor Musa Dean, and others that were before the court raised the issue that even though the motion is on the court file, they were not properly served. So the Supreme Court decided to go ahead and put a stay, suspension on the proceeding. Now,
according to Councilor Sherman, said there was no stay. They invited them for that hearing, so they were going ahead because actually they didn't really put the stay on that proceeding. They were invited to a hearing, so that's why they were proceeding with the hearing.
Councilor Sherman knows better. When the Supreme Court issues a citation, you as a lawyer, you're running into contempt by attempting to say, oh, there was no stay order, so we can, let's say matter before the civil law court, and there is there is a statutory proceeding from the civil law court onto the Supreme Court, onto the justice, if the justice issue a citation, the entire process stops. So that thing, Councilor, I never trusted what the man was doing over there. Councilor Sherman was a mess to me in the Senate. I thought that he was playing, he had what I consider identity crisis, whether he was a lawyer or he was a mere politician or what kind of person was he. I fear so much of what he was doing that I dare him, he had heard that case, there was someone he had the Supreme Court.
Eminent, you want to get involved?
I mean, look, from my history with the Councilor, I mean, his view about Councilor Sherman is sometimes just off my head because I know even the argument with Watson, so I'm just laughing. You know, but I tell you one thing, I do believe in the legal judgment of Councilor Sherman.
What does that mean?
It means that what Sherman did, I mean, it was right, from my own understanding.
But why he didn't
you believe that because you just trust him?
I'm not his handball, I'm not his bag ball, but reading his cases and performing, I do trust the legal judgment.
But let me just add lastly though, Councilor Musa Dean, unless the new president appoints him, that's the end of his appointment. The guy from Wolokoli, what his first name?
Samura Wolokoli.
Samara Wolokoli. His own appointment that also will end there because at the end of the day, if Joseph Boakai, president-elect, should take over, they will decide who go on the Supreme Court bench. If I think this matter will be resolved, the Nangbe matter will be resolved in a gentleman manner. And so at the end of the day, Nangbe will retire. He will get his benefit and whatever it is. But Musa Dean is just basically out.
And I was wondering about that too. Anthony Jensen, you can come in. Like those nominations, they were already nominated, right? So if we have the pro tem, for instance, who is, if that pro tem is in favor of President Weah, you know, they can still call Musa Dean for confirmation after everything is clear, or call Wolokoli for confirmation.
Oh, yes.
So it's just left with the discretion of who the pro tem is that what it is?
Yeah, so it is a political question.
That is not legal, it's political when it comes to
It's a political question because the pro tem may decide to not even call that for confirmation at all. And so
nothing compels the pro tem to call the president.
No, there's nothing. The rule does not make a priority.
Can we hear a question again, John? Please.
Right. In the case of they say Dr. Wolokoli. Dr. Wolokoli and Councilor.
You can't say that. They say Dr. He's a doctor.
but we know there are a lot of. So for the two nominations,
there are controversies.
It's depending on the discretion of the pro tem to call them or not. You know, it's like if they choose to, or should they be compelled legally that hey, these were nomination. Government is continuing it, so you have to call them for confirmation. You can reject them if you want, but they were already nominated before this time. So
No,
let's have them.
nomination. George Weah has up to the last day of his government to appoint anybody or to nominate anybody. But here's the issue. I think that's the foundation, right, Weah, about judicial review, Madison versus Marlboro, right?
Yes.
If the president acts and that action, there are a series of things that will happen. If you are nominated, it should be confirmed. When you are confirmed, then you should be appointed. That letter of appointment should be served. So even if you went through all of the process and George Weah on the 21st day of January, he does not give you that letter of appointment, you cannot be considered as an official of government. The new government coming into being has all authority to serve his government. That's supposed for democracy and change of government. So even the president, George Weah, can appoint locally for whatever position. He goes through confirmation, what have you. If Barker gets inaugurated, he can decide otherwise, except if there is a position of tenure. Then there will be a catch for Joseph Barker. Other than that, Joseph Barker can come and change any other person that was appointed, even the last year of Weah's government. Yeah.
Thank you.
But there are a few
Yeah, I
issues.
think Councillor is not the 21st. It's 11:59, the 22nd. Joe, we can do anything up to that time.
Why would you say that? The 22nd is inauguration, right?
Joe, we is state president at 11:59.
Yeah.
The 22nd.
So 1 minute, 11:60, he's no longer president.
Again, I don't want to argue that. I want to see the word in the Constitution that says, the
president-elect Joseph Barker takes power at noon. No, but then 11:59, Joe, we are state president.
Yeah. 11:59 a.m.
Yeah, not p.m.
Yeah, a.m.
On the 22nd.
On the 22nd, yes.
That is
fine.
correct.
That's what I'm saying. So then my 24 would not be wrong because 21st and on 11:59.
No, 11:59 on 22nd.
22nd, not
11:59 a.m. on 22nd.
Yeah, on 22nd, not 21st.
Not 21st.
So 22nd, 11:59.
Yes.
A.M.
Yeah, we are state president. Yes.
I don't know why we're talking here. Maybe I'm wrong, right? But let me see your understanding. 11:58 will be what? Will be the 21st.
No,
not even now.
A.m. Not p.m. A.m. The morning of the 22nd. The Monday morning.
The day changes in the night. 12 a.m.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the day changes. Okay, all right. I mean, I'm crazy. I'm crazy in my mind. Right?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
you.
You.
There's few things I wanted to say here, right, concerning the voice of the Constitution, and this is something that we have people listening, and let me say it quickly. The Constitution addresses the issue of sickness, and that is found in Article 71. It says the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court and the judges of subordinate court of record shall hold office doing good behavior. They may be removed upon impeachment and conviction by the legislature based on proof misconduct, gross breach of duty, inability to perform the function of their office, or conviction in a court of law. So I took that clause, inability to perform the function of their office. Justice Nangwe said he has spent more than 8 months in Ghana. And based on that, he believes he cannot serve the Supreme Court any longer. That's the reason why he asked for early retirement. We are not the ones saying that. So in the face of that, Article 71 should apply for him, right? So that he can resign or else he be impeached, so that he can leave the office. There's no disrespect to Justice Nangwe. We respect his opinion. And that.
But before you impeach him, there are processes, right? You have to go from a medical person and all that different stuff. Oh, yeah. Why he said you can use it to impeach him, right?
Why not?
because
The
the
man admitted
process-
that he's not well.
Yeah, but you still got to when he say, okay, I'm well now. What are you gonna do? You got to go to a doctor.
No. He said his letter is evidence. His letter
Right,
is a
but he
fact.
can get well, he can get better the next day.
Or
They
even
say
the
what?
next minute.
Yeah, he can get better the next minute.
No.
Because he
Justice
took medication.
Nangbe letter is on the desk of the president.
You know,
George,
I
we are going to
agree.
leave the presidential papers on the desk of the president. So
Right.
you know, politically speaking, there are people who I'm sure Joseph Boakai is curious of this case because every president wants to be seen as appointing someone on the bench.
Of course.
So to think that this letter will be ignored by even the incoming government is not going to happen.
No, not ignore. But before you impeach someone to be incapacitated, it's not based
Impeachment
on
is a
what the
process.
person
I
said.
agree. Impeachment is a process.
Right.
Not just by hands and mouth.
So to impeach someone for being incapacitated, the Constitution lays down what you need to present. You can use his letter because he can get better the next minute after he wrote that letter.
Did the Constitution do that? Did the Constitution say that?
You can return to the country.
Right. You can return and say, I'm well.
I think they will negotiate this. I truly believe Justice Nangbe should retire.
Retired or resign?
I think he should leave the bench or resign from the bench. But I think it should be done, by an understanding where he will get his retirement, get some package to be able to.
You know what I was thinking about this, Joel. I was thinking about this. Retirement is a constitutional word, but the Constitution did not give detail as to retirement. So it is incumbent upon the legislature out some of those things to be done on a retirement. So then the judicial law, the statute, try doing that. But I think the error of the statute is that age limitation that is attached to that statute. But as to benefit somebody that is sick, let us assume there's a statute that says, well, when you're sick, even in the civil service law, right? When you're sick, they don't allow you to retire. Civil servant, the ordinary people, do they retire when they're sick? No, they ask them to go, right? So retirement, there is law for civil servant on retirement. So if you allow Joseph Nangbe case as being sick and retire, you set a big precedent for even the civil servant.
No, I'm not saying he should retire. I'm saying that they should negotiate.
Okay.
And he gets some kind of benefit.
That is level executive. Definitely. What we're talking about the law issue. But whether they pay
Mr. Joseph Boakai, the president-elect, the free hand to appoint somebody that he wants to appoint. But as it is, I don't think President Weah cares much now that he got less than 7 days to be out of office. So, if His Honor Nangbe wants to get money to be able to survive while he's ill and whatsoever it is, I think he can negotiate like in the case of His Honor Johnny Lewis, instead of doing all of this drama about it. Musa Din is done. He'll go back to the law office. He's not going anywhere on the Supreme Court.
And, and there's something I want to say too on precedent, right? President is not. You see the wrong thing. He says the president. If Johnny Lewis, let us assume. I don't have all the file with Johnny.
No, not a
Lewis,
precedent. What is such wrong? There's not a precedent. It's not a precedent. What
very good. Because anything that is because of la Brempo mentality, unless something happening, then they see that precedent. No, that's not how precedent works.
So the Chief Justice, Honor Sene, you will say, hey, this is a precedent because it happened before. Let's talk about that. The Unity Party asked her to recuse herself. Did she break any law that she will be penalized or something? Because he has offered opinion to the president, and
very obviously the law on separation of power will impact her. The law of advice to opinion will impact her. The law of the Supreme Court, what she said is in her individual capacity.
Yeah.
Because whenever a lawyer goes to court, he does not say what Justice Yo said, what Justice Kokma said. He will say the Supreme Court said. Or when he's arguing before the Supreme Court, you say, Your Honor, this court has said.
Right.
So the idea that she ran faster than light to write an opinion to the president and telling him that he was in the right to do so. To me, it's a troubling situation. It could politically catch her. Councilor Janet, Justice Janet, how they caught him. It could result into her impeachment if Unity Party wants to be political. So you don't write an opinion. It shows that a glaring disrespect of the law.
So you think she can be impeached?
I don't know what United Party will do.
Impeachment can go many ways, and that could be political. There is a case, I don't have all of the file. It's a what? Stewart. What Stewart? I don't know. Stewart was on the bench in 1914, and he left and went to the legislature for whatever meeting, what have you. But then Stewart, after that meeting, there was a legislative action.
I think
both the Senate and the House.
I think he spoke and criticized the bench. I don't remember the case that much, but
no, he was on the bench. So because of that, the House took. In fact, that was almost like a kangaroo court. They took a decision to impeach him, and the president.
But in the case of Chief Justice Yo, is a deliberate act.
I think that was an error, and to err is him, all right?
It's an act. I don't know whether it's an error. I think it's an intentional act to thwart the law. To leave your colleagues, 5 members of the Supreme Court bench. The Chief Justice is only the administrative head. All of them must vote.
Right.
When you're looking for
quorum, she has the right to dissent an opinion.
You can dissent, but you cannot write by yourself, sit down in your chambers and write and advise the president. If I am a Unity Party member and I'm on the Judiciary Committee or whatever political thing I have, I will file a petition to impeach her. Because we're afraid that what she has done.
Eminent, let me hear Eminent's opinion on this. Eminent, the Chief Justice was advising the president, almost acting like the Justice Minister.
Yeah,
were you surprised?
No. First thing is that she's the head of that branch, so she accounts for everything that happened. Wow. So she did it in her constitutional right to advise the president the incident.
Eminent can go the wrong way.
I mean, she was right.
No, she wasn't. I mean, you know what that has done?
Hold on, Anthony Jensen.
Wait, she got a letter from.
Eminent is not talking as a lawyer, so and we give him that.
No. Actually, not the first. That look at the process. She got a letter from Councilor Namwe, and she acted upon that letter and advised the president.
The court acted or she acted?
Well, I mean, no matter what you say, you can say she. I understand the legal thing that is the court, but I think she acted within the court jurisdiction.
No,
I could be wrong. I leave that with the lawyers.
They say you are wrong.
So
that's fine. I take that.
So, in as much as the court may want to speak, the court by law is bound to remain quiet until an issue is before the court. That's why the lawyer will say, the court will not go all out looking for cases.
Right.
In the case of Chief Justice Yo, I think she was very zealous. I think her attitude was wrong. I think she disrespected Associate Justice.
I mean, you always use extensive words.
Hold on, Eminent.
I think there are 5 justices on the Supreme Court. Mr. Justice Kaba is the most junior Associate Justice on the court. Madam Wolokoli, James Wolokoli is the most junior on the court, followed by Justice Kaba. All of these Associate Justices on the court should have an input into this if they wanted to speak. You cannot, no matter whether you're Chief Justice, who you are, you cannot sit down by yourself somewhere and write to advise the president. Under the new executive law, only the Minister of Justice is in the entire government has that legal authority to tell the president you have proceeded right in the right way or you have proceeded wrongly. The Chief Justice cannot. I don't even think what she wrote is the Chief Justice writing. I think it's Councilor Yo expressing her opinion.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that she's the head of that branch of government, and an incident happened in her jurisdiction, and she's trying to advise the president. That's my understanding.
Yeah,
No,
but
Eminent, I think
we are all. I'm not lawyer like you, but where have you seen a chief justice advising the president?
No, yeah, incident happened in her jurisdiction.
What does that mean? Incident happened.
It means that it happened at the Supreme Court. So who's the best person constitutionally to tell the president what happened on the bench? Who's the best person?
The Supreme Court.
Okay, I think Eminent has all right to know, right? So his concern should be addressed. Eminent, the purpose of the Chief Justice on the bench is, as you said, she's head of that branch of government.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that she and her colleagues are not co-equals. When it comes to issue of law, it must always be discussed, and all of them will have to take a vote. The vote will be either majority opinion, unanimous opinion, and if it is majority opinion and the Chief Justice thinks otherwise, she can write a dissenting opinion.
Yes.
Any of them can write a dissenting opinion. Now, as head of that branch of government,
that process didn't happen. I mean, before
no, it has not happened yet. It has not happened. If it happened, she would have said.
It didn't happen before you read the letter.
Because her letter did not say it. Her letter did not say. Her letter would have said the court says.
Let me answer Eminent.
Okay, that's fine.
What the Chief Justice did was she cited a lot of laws, including precedent. But when the Supreme Court issues an opinion, if it is a majority opinion, all of the justices, including the Chief Justice, will sign.
I have no quarrel on that, Councilor. I submit to you guys' view.
Believe me, I, as a lawyer, would be afraid going to the Supreme Court where the Chief Justice can overly react on how the law is interpreted. That's why they say cool neutrality. Keep quiet. Act as if you don't know what happened.
Okay, I submit to you guys on this. I submit to you guys.
Nimna said her act of misconduct was collusion with the president and could be easily impeached, which is why she aborted the hearing immediately for fear of escalation.
No, I think what.
Let me bring in our callers here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching and want to participate, the number is 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Let me invite Mr. Evers. Morris, Evers, you're live. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, and hello to the panelists. You know, I love to listen to the lawyers speak, those who have the education and have the experience in this field. But we can't forget the biasness of these two lawyers that's on the platform tonight. Essentially, Mr. Councilor Weah, who is who has supported the opposition, has supported Joseph Weah, is equally advocating that Joseph Weah should get the Supreme Court nomination. My question or my comment would be that he would agree that it was well within the president's right to nominate, the position for Sonora Water Code, whether you disagree with the individual. But after somebody dies. Mm-hmm. No, I'm saying now.
No, we all agree. He is right. Everybody has agreed on that.
Right. So the president did nothing wrong, and he did what he was supposed to do. Justice Nominee asked for early retirement. I guess he's making a case that he should have resigned and then asked for a package. But at the same time, resignation does not guarantee, retirement benefits. So that would have been going outside of the Constitution to give him, a package. But in that same token, if you are advocating that it could have been negotiated, it could have also been negotiated for early retirement, because retirement is more honorable than resignation. So I don't understand his point here, because he made a case that it wasn't in the Constitution. Matter of fact, it went against the Constitution. He didn't qualify for early retirement. But at the same time, he's making a case that Boycott should accept his resignation in exchange for a package, like they did with Johnny Lewis, which I think is against the Constitution as well.
Okay, and you said you accused. And you accuse them of being biased. What do you mean?
Yes, because he advocated for Joseph Boyka on his platform many times that he supports the opposition to President Weah.
Oh,
So he's not an impartial person.
come on now. Let's speak to the case. Let's speak to the issue that we are discussing.
People's opinion are informed by personal feelings and personal alignment.
No,
he said that he supports the opposition on his platform before multiple times. So if he's speaking against the president's interest, I have to point that out. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, but you are saying he's biased.
Right. I mean, we're all biased. I'm biased in favor of the president. So this is not an unbiased opinion. This is somebody who supports the incoming political party or the political institution. So his opinion is probably going to be leaning in favor of that institution. As he said, well, I should get the Supreme Court justice, and maybe he can do negotiation with Justice Nominee and give him a retirement package if he resigns.
Thank you.
He wasn't making that same claim for President Weah. He wasn't saying, well, President Weah should give him the package. So they should get a new justice on the bench. He's being biased. You have to admit to that. You can't put blinders on. We have to call him out in real time.
Thank you. He was only saying he believed this would be negotiated just like Johnny Lewis. But let me bring him Honorable James Lassa, the gentleman from Bond County.
Thank you, Brother Jai. Good evening to all. I just want to correct my brother that just left to let him know that if Councilor Jawed had appeared to consistently hold a position that was contrary to the outgoing president, it wouldn't necessarily mean that he is partisan. It probably meant that the outgoing government was almost consistently on the wrong side of the law. That's all. So easy to understand that. But on this issue, Dennis, I want to say that our respected outgoing senator of River G, Communist Wisa wrote very politely as expected because he's a veteran, politely rebuked both the Chief Justice and Senator Dillon because Dillon had gone on screen, for example, and indicated that what they were about to do to confirm Dean was not going to be good, but it might have to be done simply because the Supreme Court cannot stop them. And Senator Wisa didn't agree, and he described Dillon's action as pedestrian view. And then regarding the Chief Justice, he quite clearly rebuked her, but very politely, and said pretty much that she was lying, that, when she wrote that it had happened before, and he said, no, it didn't happen, I was involved. The Chief Justice, Johnny Lewis, wasn't retired. He didn't ask for retirement. He did resign. And then there was they call it compassionate package that was arranged for him so that he would take it. That wouldn't be, if he go for retirement, he said, retirement will allow for regular payments of benefits. But that was a single wholesome package arranged for Johnny Lewis. So the Chief Justice was really exposed. Senator, we said they didn't want to expose her enough to go as far as taking how she probably, did things against even the judicial law of the Republic. So I just want to agree with Councilor Jawed as always to say that he's pretty much saying the same thing and the latest broke the law, in my view, which is why during the hearing, when they exposed her that she was compromised, she already closed the case because probably she had fear of what they don't know. Yeah. So, like someone said, anyone could raise impeachment hearing against her on the coming of the new government. It will all depend on the direction the incoming president wants to take. If he wants to be cool with it, he might, but there's good reason why she could be impeached. That's my submission. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, gentlemen, thank you also. I think those are all the callers we have. At this time, we can get your closing and draw down the curtain.
Let me come first because I need to run. We do not support Unity Party. Meaning, I, as a lawyer, I would say the law what it is. I just said that anybody who sues Councilor Fonanti Kofa, Representative Fonanti Kofa, and try to prevent him from running as Speaker of the House will lose. I'm sure I'm not supporting CDC by saying that. It is very prudent for us to be able to be tolerant to ensure that when the law is violated, no matter who that person is, it must be clearly stated that the law is violated. Other than that, we have, our for COVID-19, I was in Liberia for 6 months. And I saw government official driving opposite link, going to, coming to you. You wonder what was happening. And when I asked, somebody said, "Oh, the speaker, member of the House of Representatives, and some senators can leave the side of the road and come to the other side and drive to you directly when they think the traffic is on their side." And not only did that stop, but I was also there when, or I have come back when front page managing director, I think, was driving around the Baton area, and His Honor Joseph Nangwe vehicle almost ran into him. To my surprise, he was cited for trying to have an accident with the Associate Justice when the Associate Justice left his link. So the recklessness on the Weah government was not seen. I went when Mrs. Ali was there. I never saw people trying to drive. I know people left the road when President Salih was coming, or when the vice president was coming, the cars, back off the road and allow the president or the vice president to pass. But for people to, choose to go from the one link to another, that was very prevalent in the Weah government. And I chose to, whenever I rented a vehicle, I was afraid that, somebody would drive into me. So I would start looking for different routes, because how would people, decide to be violated like that? That there is no law, there's no traffic law, there's nothing, no red light, nothing. So we must be able to understand that our country will want to move forward if we tell our leaders the truth. Councillor Joe is not looking for me to go on the Supreme Court bench.
Thank you, Councillor Anthony Jensen. You're closing, sir.
I'm afraid, but I have to run.
Sure.
Well, we want to say thanks to everybody who, sat on the show with us. It was a pleasure to have, I think my first time interacting with eminent Emmanuel. It's
Sonny
important.
Boy,
Everybody, voices are good to be heard. It doesn't mean when we're speaking like there's any hatred in some of us. All right. And I don't know all, but sometimes we do some studies and everything. We want to see how Liberia can be better. The society that we have today, if we all do not challenge it, generation will keep suffering. We all will die and live behind the country that we will not be proud of. Is that what we want? Whether you're in America or not. Sometimes it's not about people. I don't get family members who somehow Justice Yo, for example, she doesn't know me personally. I've not interacted with before, but there might be some link that I have with her, right? But the issue is, if she acted the way she did, we want to speak about these things so that we know that's a decision they all have to make. I'm sure that decision will even stall any hearing on this matter, because the other 4 justices may not think that their decision will be fair because of the statement that was made. So we say those things because we want society to be better. And again, I say the issue of Justice Nangbe, it's up to Justice Nangbe to understand the implication of his letter and to decide otherwise than what he has done. Nobody buys sickness. Sickness is for everybody. As long as you get blood and water in you, you are bound to be sick one day. So it's not a pleasure for anybody. I'm not just another person. I work with just a number. Just number know me just like this. I used to write press releases for him. I don't wish that he gets sick, but that's what life is, right? So right now, we hope Justice Nangbe, even whatever the situation is, that the justices. Now, somebody says something that maybe we trying to buy, say you might get benefit, all of this stuff. When you are sick, it's a matter of concern. All that we're saying here, do not use the sickness and abrogate the law. That is not good for Liberia. That's what we're saying here. But if there is a means, let us say the person who called, let us assume he worked for some institution and he's sick, and the people decide to give him a package. Is that wrong? Well, we don't know that. But if there's a law that says you should not retire or should retire and you say and they say you retire, that's the law that people catch you by. So in this kind of a situation, we all come to discuss and to see whether people can see truth in some of these matters and check themselves. I would think even the Liberia National Bar Association should be discussing these matters Not because they want to please people, not because they want to go against people. Hatred should not be in the matter of these discussions. It's not a point here. So we hope that we all that come here, we have an open mind. I want to practice law in Liberia. That go there, somebody say, "Oh, and you were on focus on Liberia. You are doing this. That means you want to wish on me because of my opinion, right?" And so, with all of these things, we say it's a pleasure, and I think Liberia need to open up. That's what people doing in America. That's what get our country better. They thought Donald Trump, the Republican and Democrat, they're battling every day. The country running. So Liberia should run likewise. But again, it was a pleasure, Eminent. It was a pleasure meeting you for the first time and having a discussion. We hope we'll have these discussions going continually. Maybe I will need to invite you one day to a radio so you can speak more on other issues. Maybe you have your discipline. I don't have the expertise in your discipline that we can all talk more about Liberia one day and how you can get better. Again, Jay, I want to say thank you and your team. I want to say thanks so much for the opportunity to speak on Focus on Liberia.
Really appreciate you coming all the time when we call upon you. Really appreciate your time. Eminent, you have the last word.
Thank you, Councillor J&J. I thank you for the knowledge. I learned a lot from you tonight, and I'm hoping if you call me on your show, I will not hesitate. I will always be there. And then, as usual, I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity you always give us. I always tell people, and I will always tell you, when we started this journey with Dual Citizenship, you gave us the first platform, and then we grew up with your institution. So I want to say thank you. Coming to that, to closing my closing argument, firstly on the issue of Councillor Namwe and my dear brother and friend Rennie Sieh, there is a law in Liberia that gave government officials the right to go on the tailing. I don't know the law, but I know for fact because Councillor Namwe did cited the law. There is a law. And Namwe cited the law to Rennie Sieh and his councillor Terwan Gonglu. There is a law that gave them the right to want the tailing. I'm not going to go into that, but you can research that. But coming to this end of this, go ahead.
But let me stop you. People can add bad laws. Are you trying to justify people running in the
No, I'm not justifying the law. I'm just saying there is a law. Whether it's good or bad, I know, and that's the law.
What you think of it? Is it a good law?
I don't think it's a good law. Right. I don't think it's a good law. I don't think because I drove in Liberia and I saw another good law. But then
I don't think we just sit there and say whether it's good or not. I mean, we're closing now, but if there's a law, the best way to do is to amend it or repeal it.
There can be a bad law.
So my closing argument.
But whether there's no law is a bad law. If it exists,
okay. All right. So my closing argument is that look, dual citizenship is intended to help rebuild Liberia. The resources that we need are in the diaspora. And this law will protect us and give us all of the necessary legal protection. This law is not meant for people to use it as a political weapon to eliminate diaspora Liberia or person who wants to live in the diaspora. Also, there is a due process. You cannot just come up and say this person is an American citizen or Canadian citizen and you want to stop them from progressing or going to the next level. You can't do that. There's a due process. On December 23rd, 2019, the Supreme Court made a decision in the Jado case. Everybody is entitled to a due process. Amara Kona is entitled to a due process. Fanatic Kofas is entitled to a due process. And everybody that has been accused is entitled to a due process. There's absolutely no reason that you can hijack somebody. Do not use dual citizenship only for as a political weapon. Every time they talk about this thing, it's about stopping somebody's job. We are all Liberians, and Liberia belongs to all. Once a Liberian, always a Liberian. Do not use dual citizenship because if you start that, you are opening a can of passport. Because everybody in the diaspora passport will be checked. Everybody will be checked. So let us have a break. Yes, we support the law. We know Liberia is a country of law, but please do not use dual citizenship as a political weapon to eliminate people. And everyone is entitled to a due process. Thank you all. And I want to say thanks to everybody for supporting us and dual citizenship. And again, Dennis, thank you. Councillor J&J, thank you very much. I will just call me and I'll come on your show.
Okay, I'll get your number from John.
Okay,
thank you, gentlemen, and want to thank our viewers for watching. On that note, we're going to close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night and God bless you.
We are